is going on, guys? We're back with another video. I think there's been a pause in some video stuff, but there's a car missing over there. Comment down below if you know what's going on. But we're back with some Cobra content. So we got the Cobra in the shop. I've talked about it a little bit, but the Cobra's up here on the lift. It's going under the knife. This Gen 1 truck motor with Mustang cams and stock oil pump gear and crank gear has held up. It's gone 1030, I think?
Yeah, I think 1030.
1030, 137. It's done really well. That's a stock 6R80 stock converter. That engine is gonna get pulled out of there. We're gonna do a billet oil pump gear and crank gear, and we're gonna toss that in our Coyote swap Fox. Well, not Coyote swap yet, but it will be. And then for the Cobra, we're gonna kind of turn up the wick, and we're building a Gen 3 hybrid motor. Hybrid sounds weird, but we're doing a Gen 3 with Gen 1 heads, Mustang cams, and some head studs. So this engine should be reliable to, let's just say 900 to 1,000 horsepower at the wheels. We're shooting for about 950 with a ported blower. Yeah, let's hop into it. We got some cool new parts that I've actually never even seen before. We got some Apex head studs we're gonna be installing. They're made by Boundary. So we're gonna do Boundary oil pump gear, crank gear, and some Apex head studs. We're gonna talk about those here in a little bit, but let's take a look at what we got. So we got Mr. Brad. Yeah, those are the head studs right there. So we'll talk about it. I actually have some more tech info on these, but these are, as you guys know, ARP head studs. They're really impossible to get. They're super expensive, and they're out of stock everywhere. They're actively making these. They're USA made. They look awesome.
They have a really nice, clean finish. I like how the head's actually a hex instead of a Allen key.
So we're going to be using those in the Cobra to hold down all the boost we're going to be making. I don't know how much boost we're going to make, but
all of it.
I know what pulley we're going to use. So we will be putting those on as well here soon. We're gonna hop into the oil pump gear, crank gear install. Whenever you have your engine apart, you're putting an engine together, you need to do a billet oil pump gear, crank gear. I'll leave a link down below where you can pick up a set of those. We've been partying, I'd say, for a little bit on the Cobra, being stock oil pump gear and crank gear, but we knew that we were doing this swap, so we didn't want to take the Cobra all apart to do it, but
it's much easier to do out of the car as well.
Well, plus, if you have oil pump gear failure, you know, you have a good possibility of taking out your entire engine.
It's true.
So, we got a brand new Mustang pump. This is a Gen 1 housing, I believe.
I believe it is.
I think Gen 1 and Gen 2 housing is the same regardless.
It's 3 that's different, because 3, it doesn't have the revisions for bolts to go in. The 2 actually just slips inside there.
Yep.
And it's part of.
Are those the stock gears?
Oil pump.
You take these? Bye.
Oh, you broke it.
Did they break? I don't know. Nope. They're good to reuse.
Alright, cool.
Alright. Oh. Those ones are strong, I guess.
That's probably the strongest one we've had. Normally it's the first drop.
So, we got a set of Boundaries. These are, we've done these a million times now at this point.
What, the 5th?
Yeah, they're what's in your car, it's what's in OG. The Fox body, 2 sets.
That one's gonna get a set. The Black GT 500 got a set.
It's getting, yeah, we've done it a million times. It's a good idea, it's cheap, insurance, especially when you have everything apart like this. Install is fairly simple. We're not going to kind of go over this yet again, but essentially, you know, you lube it up a little bit, toss it in there, put the oil pump housing back together, and throw it back on.
Put the lube in it and throw her in.
So what we have here is a Gen 3 short block. We do sell these on Freedom Parts Outlet. I will leave a link down in the description. We sell a ton of these, and people are using them not just for stock replacements, but they're using it a lot for these Gen 321 swaps or 311 swaps. So in our case, we're doing a 311 swap. So we have Gen 1 heads, Gen 1 cams. So to reiterate, Gen 1 oil pump, Gen 1 pickup, Gen 1 Mustang, oil pan gasket, and windage tray. We'll use the Gen 1 pan. We will also be using a Gen 1 rear main cover. That is important for the crank sensor because the Gen 3 one will not work.
Gen 3, I believe, has a thicker pickup on the crank sensor. So yes, you can bolt a Gen 1 into it, but it can move. And if it moves, it won't pick up the signal correctly.
Yeah, I saved someone on Facebook. They said they were going crazy because they said their car would run sporadically, like it was fine, but then suddenly it would hesitate really bad. And I was like, what rear main cover did you use? And he's like, the Gen 3 one. Why? And I was like, yeah, your crank sensor's going like this.
It's true.
Oh God. Ignore my ugly pan. It's clean inside.
It is very clean inside. This pan, yeah, it's the truck one. It actually came out of one of our core engines, and this has been sprayed with degreaser and power washed twice now.
I think I had planned to just buy a new pan, but I just forgot at this point. So this is what we're rolling with, guys.
We'll hit it with a brush later.
Yeah, we can throw some spray paint on it, brush it, spray paint. I think some of that is just like the paint kind of just gone.
Yeah, it's there, some there.
Everything else is new. Okay, so we're gonna be doing the Apex head studs. Like I said, these are so that we can hold down the boost, hold down the head gasket and the heads. We're targeting somewhere in the neighborhood of 20, 22 pounds. We don't really know exactly where it's gonna land, but I figured it was a good idea. These Gen 3s have the 12mm studs. They're a really good head bolt, and add a nice stud in there. These will work really well. The cool thing about these is you don't have to crank them to 100+ foot-pounds with a torque wrench. I'm gonna put the chart up right here on screen. Okay, so I found this really cool chart on these head studs. You can see the red line is the Apex head studs and the gray line is the OEM 12mm bolt. The x-axis is torque and the y-axis is load. So what this is saying, for the same amount of torque applied, it has more clamping force load, as you can see in this y-axis. So for the very same amount of torque, you're gonna have a much higher load. I just find this is a really good way to show how these head studs compare to the OEM head bolt, and it's also the reason why when you torque it to 63 foot-pounds, based on this measurement, you are getting significantly more clamping force, and that's what you need to hold down some boost and not have any, future issues with head gaskets, lifting a head, anything like that. As you're making more and more horsepower, you need to be able to clamp that head down, and this chart shows exactly what you would want to be able to hold that boost down. So you don't have to crank these all crazy. There's some science behind it, but essentially,
I've asked the question. When I first saw it, I was like, that seems really low for torque. 63
foot-pounds. That seems pretty low in comparison, but they've had some really good results with these, and it's kind of thrown some innovation into something that's just kind of been around for a while. And like I said, I have that graph up on here. I'm going to show the install, but Travis over there, he said you're going to notice like a drastic difference, because when you go to crank these head studs, you know, to 63 foot-pounds, you're not going to be struggling, you know, to clamp them down. It's also holding the heads down. So, I mean, obviously we're going to be testing it. Install, obviously fairly simple. We're just going to start loading those in there. That also comes with instructions. Brad likes instructions.
I love instructions.
So we're just going to go ahead and thread these in. I believe this is the same as other head studs, by hand.
Just says drive head into thread the hole in component.
Cool. So then the washer goes on to the head, and then the very top of the washer gets lubricated. So that way the bottom of the washer stays against the head, but the top can spin as the nut clamps down on it. I think that's what it says there. Okay, so that's what it looks like. We're using OEM Gen 1 head gaskets. I believe if you're using a Gen 2 head, you can use the Predator head gaskets. In our case, we're using Gen 1 heads, so you're going to want to match the head gasket to the head that you're using. We could have also used Coyote Gen 1 gaskets as well, but these are fairly inexpensive, and they seem to hold down at the power level we were going to. Now, if we were going to go 30 pounds of boost or something crazy like that, I mean, we probably wouldn't be doing a stock Gen 3 bottom end, but you would probably want to go to a Coyote or something similar. Right here we have, I think, about 80,000 mile Gen 1 truck head. We pulled this out of a wrecked and cracked block F-150. It was a rollover, but the heads look awesome. So this is what we're going to be using in the Cobra. Rather than take apart the engine that's in there and kind of swap everything around, we figured it would be easier to basically build a complete other engine, so we do a whole swap. And here Brad goes. Ooh, that was smooth.
It is.
Yeah.
Everything still looks good. It's all lined up. We'll
Yep.
just double check all of the lash adjusters and whatnot before we put the cans in her. What I'll do is I'll put everything in dry, and then I will lubricate the bottom of the nut.
Yep. Let me see one of the washers.
These are thick too.
Yep.
Nice. I'm gonna clean the residual oil out. That way we give it a nice dry footing.
Okay, so you're doing the first round?
I am. So first step says 25 foot-pounds.
And it has the torque sequence right there.
That's always a bonus.
$25 the first step, $44 second, and the third, $63. Okay, so we went to 44, we back off an eighth of a turn, and then final to
63.
63. And that's not, you're not straining yourself. I know sometimes the 100 plus foot-pounds can really strain yourself.
It probably looks like I am a little bit, but I'm also using a very short torque wrench. If I was using a longer one, it would be much easier for me to just bring it down to 63. These actually went in super smooth. They threaded in very nicely. It's really nice so far. I don't have any complaints.
Yeah, we'll just see how she holds down the boost, but I'm not concerned. And I got this side all prepped.
Ta-da.
Here's your head gasket part numbers, in case you were curious. All right, so heads are on, torqued, ready to go, ready to hold down some boost. Now we're gonna be putting in our Mustang cams. I went ahead and picked up a set of used Gen 1 Mustang cams. Originally, we were gonna try out some truck cams on the Fox body over there, but then we would have to take, you know, the engine that's in the Cobra apart to get those cams out, put them in this, and then do a bunch of stuff. So I went ahead and picked up an extra set of Gen 1 Mustang cams, which are actually kind of hard to find. So we found these on Facebook from someone who replied to my post, and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put those in. This will be loaded with a fresh set of Gen 1 Mustang cams, basically the same thing that's in there already. Shouldn't be a problem. I don't think we need to go to aftermarket heads and cams with the setup that we are planning to run. So I'm excited to see that. We're gonna plop those in there, get this thing timed up, and get it all sealed up and basically ready to plop in. So that way, when I drop the K member out of the Cobra, we can go ahead and pull that engine trans combo out, and we can go ahead and swap in our new Gen 3 setup, put it back together. It's gonna take a little bit because we gotta get the blower finished up from porting and a few other odds and ends, but we're also be doing an 8-rib conversion with an ATI 10% lower, and yeah, it's got a lot of cool new parts going in with it. So we'll probably actually have the Fox body running before the Cobra. We'll see how it goes. Brad just pulled all the cam caps out. This engine was super low miles, and you can really see that with the very minimal, pretty much no cam cap wear at all.
Yeah, they're very, very clean. I'm just cleaning up everything. We're gonna do assembly lube on it, kind of like how we did for the last couple engines. Just make sure everything's got a nice coat to it, get it all together, and hopefully we'll get this thing running before NMRA. But
yeah, it'd be cool to run it at NMRA. We won't be legal to run the times it can run, but
no, it'll be like last year. If I'm driving it, I'll get kicked out before I even start.
Pretty much. So we were having a hard time finding out which cams were which. Left-hand, right-hand intake, left-hand, right-hand exhaust. So I found this nice little post on the Facebook. I found something on Google too, but it was a really old, it was actually 4-valve stuff, but Ford uses the same naming convention regardless of the cam. So our part numbers don't match these perfectly, but if you notice this 270, 271, 272, and 273, that's what's going to be the same on your cam, and these indications will be correct for your cams. So I found that helpful, so I wanted to go ahead and include that in the video. Thanks to Devin there. So now we know which cams are which, since we got them in a box bare, and
they were all mixed up in there.
Yep. Alright guys, so we're wrapped up with the Cobra engine for today. We just set the timing cover and the valve covers on it for now, but it is timed, pretty much ready to go. We'll have to finish up a few more things on it. We're going to cover it up with plastic to make sure it's nice and sealed off. But that is it. Gen 3, 1 combo. There's nothing complicated about bolting a set of Gen 1 heads onto a Gen 3. There's a few little things that we showed you guys, like the rear main cover. Match your head gaskets to your head. Head bolts go with the Gen 3, so obviously we use the Apex head studs, so you're using Gen 3 studs. Gen 2, Gen 1 oil pan, Gen 1, Gen 2 oil pump, and then your timing components matching, you know, what it's going in. So, with that said, I think I filled you guys in. If you guys want to pick up some Apex head studs or Boundary oil pump gear and crank gear, I will leave a link down in the description. But for now, we will have this ready to go, and we're gonna get the Cobra ready to swap this in there, and then we'll be doing the Fox body Coyote engine as well. So make sure you hit the like button down below, leave a comment, let us know what you think, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range, cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.